Hey friends, coming to you from a slightly different angle this time. It's been quite a week, really been quite a week. We were bracing for the storm that I think I heard someone say that it was 30 states that were impacted by this storm this past weekend. So I didn't get a huge amount of sewing done, but I did make a little bit of progress in sorting out a UFO and getting a block or two completely sewn. And so I'm happy there. I also got my hand crank put on my Featherweight. Now, my way of prepping is that if we're prepared, nothing happens, and that is exactly what happened. We got hit with a pretty bad ice storm. However, it has only impacted us for 2 days and we still have power. So I'm going to call that a win and just be done with it. It was a lot this past weekend. I'm just going to be honest. It was a lot this weekend. And in the week going up to it, I had so much prep work to do. My goal this weekend was to make sure that my sewing machine had a hand crank on it so that worst case scenario, I could actually do a little bit of sewing this week if we were without power. And my trick worked because our power is still on. So that was all fine and dandy. And beyond that, it's been just a little bit challenging this weekend, especially with the news out of Minnesota. And it's hard to keep creating when things like this happen in the world that you're upset about and you feel hopeless and there's nothing you can do. So I just want to put that message out there that it's really important that you keep sewing, keep creating, and keep finding the sparks of joy when you can find them. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so let's get into what happened this week. I took some footage of me sewing on a few different occasions and sorting out my UFO, which it was a little bit of a mess. But now that I've looked it through, it may have just been one block that was bad, and I may have adjusted things after that block. I'm not quite sure. But it seems like it's only one block that's a mess. And I'll tell you all about that coming right up. Oh, and then stay tuned for the footage of the hand crank. I took just a little short video. I did not take video of me putting the crank on. It was a little bit hard for me to do at one point. I did most of the work by myself, but my husband needed to tighten one section that just needed a little bit stronger than my hands could handle. So stay tuned for that little video at the end, and then I'll circle back and chat with you about a sew along that's coming up. Woo woo. All right, well, here I am working on this, and I came across a dilemma, is that I've got these strips and I'm not sure what they are. I don't know if they're extra. I don't know if I pulled them out to work on something or what. Okay, I feel like this one is a match. So I'm just going to sort through and try and figure out what I've got, because obviously I've got these, which are ready to piece together. I did one already. Got 1, 2. This one looks like it came unclipped. How many are in there? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're missing 2. Oh, 7, 8. There they are. 7, 8. Okay. All right. So join me as I sort through this mess. I'm also going to tell you my tale of woe on this project, and perhaps the reason why I stopped sewing this project. So clearly I used a Camille Ross Kelly jelly roll and a plain white jelly roll, and those two were completely different sizes. And so what I am finding, let me see if I can, I don't know, at least on the one that I just sewed, where there was white, wasn't matching up with whatever the print fabric was. And so these were not meeting properly. And also the edges along here were definitely, which you can actually see, they're not the same length, which is very frustrating to me. And clearly at some point I was doing okay in figuring out what I was measuring without trimming those big white ones down. However, what I should have done is I should have just stitched the 1/4 of an inch along this, whatever the print was, and I don't think I did that. So you live and learn, and sometimes that's why we stop projects, is because we don't do things correctly. So all right, what is this mess? Like, literally, Tracy, what were you doing? What were you doing? Okay. I must have decided at some point that I wanted to lay out the blocks, and I must have just stopped. Goodness, what a mess. All right, we're gonna put those there because I'm guessing that's one. Okay, maybe I could just pin them. But you get the idea. I mean, really, just what a stinking mess. I'm sure I can go through and neaten this up, so bear with me. One more thing I wanted to talk about was that as I open these up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these design boards by Lori Holt. I have a little stack of them, and this size is, let's see, 18 inches. And what I like to do is I like to grab a stack, and then I'll lay these out on here as sort of my portable design wall. And generally what I've been doing is I really like it when I can make the red run through the center. And so grab that. I don't think that these all fit across, because I think with the seam allowances they're a little bit big, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's find the one with the This is the other problem that I'm running into, is like, I must not have done it like that. I must have done something different. Nope. Nope. I must have done a different color, but that's all right because I still can swap it out. This doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, well, what I decided to do with that mess was to sew them back together again, and I'll just take them apart. And then I actually found the matching missing pieces to this one. I had started to sew them and I hung them over my ironing board. So we've got now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ready to go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's a nice size quilt now, because that's what, 17 blocks. That's big. So now I feel like I've got a whole bunch of reason to finish this baby up. See how quickly we can do that. Now I'm guaranteed not to be without power. All right, so what did you think of that? You know, it's funny how sometimes the simplest projects can cause problems. Maybe I'm just too much of a perfectionist, and that definitely could be it for sure. So I'm just going to keep going with it, with the project, and that'll be that. I am looking forward to working with the hand crank on occasion and seeing how I like that. I might just play with it a little bit and make sure that it is working properly. Like I said at the beginning, there was one little part where I actually had a little trouble tightening it as tightly as I needed to get the hand crank on, and it really needed to be really tight. And I'm afraid that there might be another place where, when I did the last tune-up on it, following the book that the Featherweight shop has that takes you through doing a tune-up from start to finish on a Featherweight sewing machine, which that was the point of a Featherweight sewing machine, was that so that you could do all of the maintenance yourself on the machine, in addition to it being a very lightweight sewing machine that you could take with you. Feel like there's might be a little bit of looseness in one place, and so I might just play with it, make sure that it's good, or have my husband walk through the tune-up manual with me to make sure that we've gotten all of that squared away so that it's good to go from here on out. That machine was built in, I believe, the 50s, if I remember correctly, and it is just still going strong. So she has a whole lot of life left in her for a 75-year-old gal. Let me just tell you that. And you know, it's funny, I don't think I've ever named her, which is funny because I've had her for a really long time. Might need to come up with a name for her. Anyway, all right, so next and finally, thank you all for watching the last few videos and dropping emojis. This week, why don't you drop a heart emoji? Because I think we can just use a whole lot of love in the world right now. So drop a heart emoji if you've made it this far. And thank you so much for liking the video and interacting with it, because it really helps project my video out further to lots of like-minded sewists like us. Finally, I want to say it was 3 videos ago, might be just 2. But we talked about the Village Quilt sew along. I should grab a block. I'm gonna go grab a block. Finally, a few weeks back we talked about the Village Quilt sew along. Now this used to be a pattern that was a paid pattern, but now it is a free pattern on Moda's website. And enough of you talked about wanting to do a sew along that we are going to do one. So I plan to go live at least once a month, preferably twice, once in the morning and once in the evening, so that everyone could be accommodated. But you can always watch the lives later on. I will be posting a short video telling you about the sew along and when it starts and what you need, and linking to the free pattern. And then we can have a little bit of fun coming up in the next few months. And like I said, this block is so much fun to make. The houses are absolutely adorable. I'm still just going to grab the one that's right on top. The houses are absolutely adorable. Very easy to make. Use charm squares, so it's not a very expensive quilt to make either. There are a few things that make your life easy, but they are absolutely optional. And the block, at least the roof for the flying geese, are you sew them oversized and then trim them down, which is nice so that they come out perfect. And it'll be loads of fun. So let me know if you're looking forward to that. I am thinking that we probably will be doing them on 2 Thursdays a month. One of the Thursdays will be in the morning and one will be in the evening, because those were the days that I think the majority of people were available. And like I said, if for some reason that ends up not working and we switch it up, I'll keep you posted, because the more the merrier on this one. And like I said, this one's just a fun sew along. And even if you're not sewing this particular quilt and you just want to join the live and sew, that totally works too. I will see you next week. Thank you again for watching, and happy quilting, everyone.